Hey everybody, welcome back to Half Passed Out Podcast. We are in round 2 of our Watch Madness. That is Jax in the background trying to escape.
Yep. He's gonna go.
He jumps so high.
He's an athlete. He's an athlete for sure. He's an athlete for sure. All right.
Before we get into it, I have to know, gentlemen, what watch did you bring to today's competition and what drink?
Thank God there was nothing.
Will, you were just making a mess over there.
Jesus Christ! I just cleaned my desk.
If you took the sunglasses off, you could see.
No. That's not the problem.
I think that's the problem.
It might be the problem.
Oh man,
not as good of a pop as normal. But what tequila did you bring?
Casamigos once again. I do prefer the Añejo. So if Casamigos, you want to sponsor us, I would prefer the Añejo bottle because I think it tastes better and is much more enjoyable. That said, I'm not gonna complain about Casamigos when I know other tequila exists out there.
Fair enough. Well, we're all going to wait patiently while you take your shot.
You're going to wait for me to take this shot? You can? Yeah, I can too. That's for sure.
Lovely.
It's upsetting. You're going to make me take it right now?
Oh, of course. It's the beginning of our show, Will. Cheers. All right, after that first shot of yours, what watch did you wear?
I'm pairing that with some blueberries because blueberries are
Honestly,
great.
I bet that's pretty good, yeah.
Probably tasty.
Yeah, it's a nice chaser. I'm wearing the Blanc Con today.
Nice.
I got 2 watches to keep wound, and one is on the winder and the other is on the wrist.
You got to get a double winder, Will.
You know,
Could just wear both.
Wear both at the same time. Problem solved.
You guys suck. Christian, what you wearing? What you drinking?
Today I have got the Dominga Grapefruit, and it's delicious. It's one of the best beers that New Belgium makes. Way better than their Fat Tire Light or whatever they had. And
they made a Fat Tire Light. That sounds awful.
And this bad boy here is the Christopher Ward 1240 in titanium with the green dial. Christopher Ward just sent us these watches, and I've been bogarting them because I don't want to drive 2 hours to drop them off at your house, and they shipped to me.
Guys suck.
But we will be getting reviews and a bunch of photos and videos out of them soon. This watch is really nice. I don't want to talk about my favorite until we all get a chance. I don't want to poison the well. But I will be wearing probably the steel next episode.
Very cool. Love the sneak
Hunter?
peek. Love the sneak peek. And I love the Dominga. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, Dominga's delicious.
I am wearing the Cassie Oak in Zebra edition.
Nice.
Zebra.
It's a quality watch.
We love the Zebra.
Of
All the
course.
guys at the office dig it. And I'm trying out a new beer today. It is the Ridge Runner West Coast Double IPA from Breckenridge Brewery. Very dry if you haven't tried it, but if you drink beer here in Colorado, you're probably used to it. So
Yeah. Nope. They're all high hop IPAs.
they just want it to taste as much like dirt as humanly possible.
Exactly. You get dirty IPAs, or you can drink a Guinness, and it's like drinking a loaf of bread.
Dirt-proof watch, dirty beer is the combo today.
Well, let's get into the bracket because we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to do sports watches. Again, to remind you, this is all independent watch brands for this whole series that we're doing. We are trying our very best, and I think we've succeeded that no brand is repeated. So these are all going to be distinct brands. Let's get into it, guys.
Yeah.
First out of the gate, the Christopher Ward Trident C60. No, we are not shills. We only do that for Zellos. Versus the Fair Aquamatic. I believe this is the freshwater. Hunter, you were just looking at this, right?
Yeah, they've got a handful of combinations here at Fair. Freshwater is just kind of like this Kraken green, if you will.
Legally distinct from Kraken green.
Yes, legally distinct. But they have a handful of other options in red and blues. There's one that looks like the Mars Moonswatch. But yeah, no, a lot of different options. They're all very abrasive in nature. They're very
they're bright,
catching. And it kind of reminds me of the Bolovas that we were looking at, the ones that were completely stolen from Disney. If you haven't heard about that,
check out last episode if you haven't seen it. That was very obvious to me. I don't know how you guys didn't catch that at first, but I was just like, what are we doing?
It's clear in retrospect that something funky was going on.
Yeah.
But this is not as clear. I don't think that they're stealing information or ideas for that matter. But I think it's a pretty cool available watch just under $1,000.
Yeah.
Available.
This watch, the freshwater, does also come with 3 straps. You get a NATO, a steel, and the rubber.
Love that.
I know Will doesn't care much about this, but if you're talking about sports watches, you do also kind of have to talk about dive ratings because they're meant to be beat to hell. It's 200 meters for this versus 300 for the Christopher Ward.
Fun fact, 0 of these watches on the screen And watches we've talked about have experienced 60 meters, except maybe a Rolex once.
You know, we still have to talk about it, Will. We got to do our due. I'm going to bring it up every watch we talk about.
I know you are. Go ahead. Keep
Are
going.
they the same movement? Sellita SW200s?
I believe so. I was actually going to comment on that. They are very similar in a lot of fashion. So I'm very interested on y'all's opinions. I see they're almost nailed on the price point too, aren't they?
Yeah, the CW is about $100 more expensive.
Okay. Yeah.
Not quite, but you know.
To clarify, it's I believe 900, right? 975 and 1075.
1095. So I apologize. Just a bit more, or a bit over $100 for the CW.
The fair being the 975, and then you're looking at about CW, the CW Trident 60 at 1095. Very close in price once you get to this point. I'm curious what you guys think about the watch. I'll start with the aesthetics. What do you guys think about that? They're pretty different.
Yeah. I personally really like the aesthetic of the Fair. I love a bright colored watch. I really like that it comes with different strap combinations without having to pay more. Again, I really like that teal green color with the day date. It's a good looking watch. They both look fantastic. I mean, we reviewed the C60. What do you guys think?
I think it's clear we were all very positive on the Christopher Ward here, and I think that's why we're kind of focusing a bit more on the Fairer and what you're getting for the money. It, like, by and large, in terms of like the tech specs, if you will, they're fairly similar. But I think Will kind of makes a good point here. You know, when we think about the style, that's kind of your major turning point here. So when I think about a sports watch, I don't know if the full bore diving Aquamatic is the sport that I typically go for. And so if I were to go for a sports watch between these two, I'd go for the CW here just for versatility.
It's a lot more of a wearable watch, yeah.
Yeah, it's more wearable. You certainly, from the Fairer perspective, right, you do get that metal bracelet, and so you are going to get a lot more opportunities to wear it, and you don't feel like you're just rocking that seafoam green on seafoam green no matter what. Whereas you're really not taking a ton of risks on the CW. And so having seen it in person, that's probably my vote. Plus, I haven't seen these other review units, so I'm
fair.
That might impact my vote, but it's still going to be the CW for me.
How about you, Will?
Yeah, this was a really tough decision. I'm wearing a watch currently that at a very large fraction of the cost, and I would note it's not a metal piece, right? This is bioceramic. This is made to be cheaper. So I do like the design language is what I'm getting at. As you can tell, my blunt pawn looks similar because of the way the just the numerals are, the large bezel, or large looking bezel, that pop out bezel. And a lot of these, I know I have a black one on. There are a lot of colorful options for this watch. I don't know how that color finishes in person, and I think that's a really harsh demerit. That's a great point on the Fairer. I think with kind of building on what Hunter said, but I'll take it a step further. This is the safest color scheme that you can get. I've clicked through. There are a lot of options with the Fairer, and if you like a really colorful palette, I think the odds you have a watch that looks like a CW Trident C60 in your collection kind of high. That said, if you don't, it's going to be hard for me to not go with the CW here. I know what the finish is like, and that's really an unfair bias because I'm sure the Fairer is great. I'd love to know what that finish looks like, but building on what Hunter said, if this is the most safe color palette option, I have to go with the CW as your more likely candidate. I think there's other options. One more last point for me. I think there's other options at the Fairer Aquamatic price point that offer a similar style at a kind of a bit more fraction of the cost. I think the CW has a sharper look that's unique to them. Yeah. That in the sports category, I mean, the Fairer looks like Seiko's, looks like this watch, the Blancpain X watch, looks like you can go a little higher in cost and go to the Zodiacs. I think this is definitely targeting the Zodiac look. So there's a lot of things that work with this Fairer and more, I think, other options that might appeal to you versus the CW, I think is a unique, sharp aesthetic, and I like that. So I'm picking it.
Totally fair. The CW will move on then. I think that's 2 votes. I personally would go with the Fairer, but I also am not a one-watch collection guy. where I would cycle through it. If you are a one watch collection looking for a sports watch, the CW, the Christopher Ward's definitely the way to go, I think.
Yeah, this is a tight matchup. I hate. We're gonna get to another one later, and it's gonna be just absolute shit compared to. I think it's this one.
Yeah.
Neither of these pass the last two options.
No, neither of these are as good.
Just so we're clear.
The Monta Oceanking and the Unimatic U1 Classic. I'm going to start, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
The Unimatic U1 Classic is a like tool watch, which I really like the design aesthetic. I like the minimalist, like almost brutalist design of it. The Monta for me is just another Submariner dude. Like, it's not different enough from the like genre like the Christopher Ward was, where they had the unique design aesthetic to it. Monta is kind of just your standard dive watch, your standard steel bracelet sports watch. Let me see what the price point is. I mean, $2,500 for the Oceanking.
And the Unimatic's much cheaper. I mean,
yes,
much,
525
much
pounds
cheaper.
or euros, which is about $650 total.
It's just not $600.
Do your own research.
Do your own research.
Whatever that is.
It. Do your own research. That is just not true. So,
but yeah, so the Unimatic is just a really cool looking piece. It's unique but usable. You can put that on your wrist every single day and not worry about it. What do you guys think?
I think one of the things that's really cool is that the bezel and the chapter ring just lack any sort of like additional information.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really easy in the sports watch category to do exactly that. Just overload it with way too much information. And all of a sudden you've got this cluttered look, particularly when you get into some of the smaller case sizes. And I think that's where Unimatic kind of is providing a unique offering here is they're doing the opposite, right? You still have a chapter ring, you still have your bezel, but they do so little with it that it almost defines the style of the sports watch itself. So I think it's super cool in doing that. Obviously, you get a lot of value at just around $500. It's going to be hard to beat that. I mean, again, we're going to talk about water resistance, 300 meters of water resistance here. It's a very capable watch. I think that's definitely my vote as well. I just don't think that the Monta does enough for me, right? It's still a 300 meter watch, right? And so it's not a POS by any means. But I do think that was kind of the one thing I was thinking on is if I'm going to get a Monta, right? They kind of play in the space that's multi-thousands of dollars. I'm going to want to get a watch that doesn't look almost exactly like many of these other watches. And I think that as much as taking inspiration from a Submariner is one thing, I think that even in some of their marketing, just saying that like they're a refined version of it is almost like disrespectful. Just saying like,
yeah,
are you really more refined than some of these OG pieces that like literally define not only the style, but also a lot of the technologies that were invented to create this watch? Not a knock on Monta by any means. They have some other cool pieces as well. But they're not in the sports category. And so I think that there's a lot of room for improvement here with the Oceanking where they can get just a bit more creative and try to spin a bit more kind of what Unimatic is doing to create that unique design style.
Yeah, I can't be devil's advocate this time. While I love doing that, I'll be more frank about it. The Monta sucks for the price point. That at that price point, I mean, set some $25.50. Ceramic bezel, sure. There are big brands that do that cheaper. Okay, that's just a fact. The quality control and whatnot, I think is going. It's Swiss made. That doesn't mean anything anymore to anybody, really. I know that was a big marketing thing back, kind of in the '90s and the '80s, and coming up through the watch era, and then Quartz killed watches, and Swiss made really never became that much of a focus after the Quartz movement. So the Unimatic is unique. It's got a pilot style look. It looks cool. I hate the font on the Monta for the 10 and the Fit 20. It's just boring. Like, all right, text edit, cool. Like, I
think that's the thing. It's boring.
It doesn't. Yeah, it tries to be boring almost, and I hate it. So I'll be the one that really just says it. It sucks. $25.50. I'll be on it. There are, and someone's gonna be like, "Oh, but the movement." Listen, brother.
In-house movement, not worth it.
If it looks like that, I don't care if it's an in-house movement. I know that's an impressive thing, and I will commend Monta for making that effort. But they didn't prioritize me to get the watch in the first place. So
Yeah.
I got to go Unimatic. I think at the cost, I actually think this is a good dark horse pick going through the tournament. I think its price point and its unique design language will sway Christian in particular every time. So
that is a very good point. Hey, can we clip here for a second? I'm going to take Bentley inside. He keeps moving my camera.
Mark it.
Yep. I'll be right back.
Marked the clip. Hasta bedo.
Guess I can grab some nuts from a nut.
I guess I can pull up the next watches so I know what the hell we're doing.
Autodromo. I'm just pulling up on my laptop right here.
Autodromo e Sinn 104. I'll tell you what, Sinn doesn't give a fuck about their website. They tried. I'll tell you what, they put some money into it. Did you see it before their redesign? Holy shit. Like you it was like German eBay.
You're going to have to mention that. You're going to have to mention that on the cast.
Dude, they might.
Yeah, we'll talk about the website, but Sinn is wild. Their websites have always been bad.
I mean, I wish I could get the old one. The old one was awful.
All right, let me know whenever you're ready.
Mark. I got it.
All right. Next up, we have the Autodromo Racing Team, a pretty minimalist looking chronograph as far as chronographs go. Autodromo, we got to see in Chicago, really cool brand, all designed based on like automotive design language. And then the most German watch brand that has ever existed, Sinn. Today we've got the 104 STSA1, and the naming conventions get worse from there. Hunter, I think you have the best way to describe Sinn. If you want to go ahead and start us off there.
This is not really a knock on Sinn as a company, but it's really just more on their business decisions. I'm going to give some kudos. Your website is great. Now, if I don't know how much money you put into it, but the previous website in the mid-show, if you will, our little hiatus, was that it's mostly a German eBay. It felt like each listing, it was almost like a one of one, and you may or may not get the watch, was kind of my feeling. Whereas now it does look like a real website, which is helpful. I hate what they've done with the photos.
Photos are so bad.
I couldn't get a full res photo for this Google slide that we're looking.
Next up, we have the Autodromo Racing Team, a pretty minimalist looking chronograph as far as chronographs go. Autodromo, we got to see in Chicago, really cool brand, all designed based on like automotive design language. And then the most German watch brand that has ever existed, Sinn. Today we've got the 104 STSA1, and the naming conventions get worse from there. Hunter, I think you have the best way to describe Sinn. If you want to go ahead and start us off there.
This is not really a knock on Sinn as a company, but it's really just more on their business decisions. I'm going to give some kudos. Your website is great. Now, if I don't know how much money you put into it, but the previous website in the mid-show, if you will, our little hiatus, was that it's mostly a German eBay. It felt like each listing, it was almost like a one of one, and you may or may not get the watch, was kind of my feeling. Whereas now it does look like a real website, which is helpful. I hate what they've done with the photos.
Photos are so bad.
I couldn't get a full res photo for this Google slide that we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
It took ages for me to get the professional photography in full resolution.
If I click PDF, hold on. It's the best you're going to.
We'll get into the watch in a second. The Sinn website is so hard to navigate, and it does one of my least favorite things that watch websites do. They don't sell watches. I get it on some like super high-end luxury brands where they want you to go into a boutique and buy it. Sinn you have to go find it on another website because they don't sell in boutiques. So it's just impossible to find these things.
I think if you VPN into Germany, they will sell it to you. The question will be is what are they going to do when they find out you're sending it to the US?
Exactly. Let me know how that goes. Hunter's going to buy a couple of them and let us know what he thinks.
Yep. Just a bunch of duplicates here of the 104 STSAI. Maybe it's an L. I don't know.
Who's to say?
Very German product model number here. But they do a good job. So we'll
Yeah,
have
they're
to see.
great built or really well built watches. Again, they're gonna be durable for anything you need to do. This is pretty busy, especially considering it's not even a chronograph. It's just kind of busy for the sake of being busy. So for me, it's the racing team that's going forward. I really like the design aesthetic. It doesn't have much of a dive rating, which is fine. Clean chronograph. It says it's limited to 165 pieces. However, it's still for sale, so they're not selling too fast. What do you guys think?
I'll jump in. I got a vendetta with this Sinn
Really?
last year. Let's talk about it. Bit of a bracket buster, this Sinn. At least my bracket.
Not this Sinn.
No,
better
not
one.
this Sinn, but it's still a Sinn. I think it was a. Here, I got you. I even looked it up. The Sinn U50. A crime that passed through. Crime, I tell you. And I'm here to tell you that it will not move on today. Not because their site sucks, which it still does. I like the Autodromo. I think it's a unique looking piece. You know, say what you want. I might be wearing shades, but that looks like a roulette wheel, and I'm digging it. Yeah, I like what the Autodromo's doing at the price point. I think it's coming at $525, right?
Yeah.
You can buy the watch right off the website, just to let you guys know.
Yeah, you can just press buy now, and it'll sell you a watch. It's a crazy thing, Sinn. You should take a lesson.
The one thing I'll say about Sinn, they are available out of a lot of places. A lot of places do tend to sell Sinn. Seems like anyway, very available on Chrono 24. I believe this watch goes for $1,800, right?
Yeah.
Does it look like an $1,800 watch?
It doesn't look like it, but for what it's worth,
yeah,
it's kind of like
what's it worth?
Those type of people who buy a pair of boots that last forever.
Yeah,
that's why you buy a Sinn, because you want one thing that's going to do its job until you die.
It's a jumbo jet engine.
Yeah, Autodromo. Who knows how long it'll last? Who knows if it's durable or not?
It's a quartz.
Yeah.
Seiko movement. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a quartz. It's gonna last because it's a quartz watch. And
the people who buy Zinns are the people who buy Red Wings and like a leather bag from a handmade store down the street, sort of thing. Again, it's a very specific group. It is probably worth the money if you like the aesthetic, but
there are just other watches that I like for the money.
Totally fair. Hunter, what are your thoughts? I think
Zodiac.
the Autodromo's moving on. But
Autodromo moves on. It is not a clean sweep.
Really?
You suck.
It is not a clean sweep. I am not going to hold grudges against Sinn from its performance with the U50 last year.
Which again, bracket buster, great choice. Glad it went on.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, one of the many reasons is that this is so clearly a pilot's watch in the sports category. It's trying something new, you know?
Fair enough.
We're trying to see what we can do here in the sports category. Shake things up by just.
Did you not see the last watch?
Yeah, I saw all sorts of watches
for $500. The pilot's watch in the sports category.
Pilots.
You didn't see that?
So last year our categories were pretty nonsensical.
Right. This year they make sense.
Yeah.
And I'm still telling you, there was a watch a slide ago that counteracts your statement. Crazy work.
Okay. Well, Hunter, we're gonna ignore you because we've got to get through the rest of this episode.
Fair enough.
The Autodromo is going to go on. Last lineup, we have the Boldr Venture Wayfarer and the Norqain Wild One. This is a limited edition picture. It's the Akuna Maikaida or something like that. It's not Akuna Matata. Don't correct me. I know it's not it.
That's all I'm calling it for now on.
But both of these are, of course, still available. The Wild One collection is actually got pretty popular. I think, what's his name? The Boston guy who has like the burger chain in a bunch of movies.
Oh, Wahlburgers, baby.
Thank you.
I love
Mark
Wahlburgers.
Wahlberg was wearing the teal one a while when it first came out.
I love Mark Wahlberg. He
if
kind
you
of
guys
seems like a
haven't tried
Boston
them on-
asshole, and
Yeah,
that's what I
exactly.
appreciate.
You too, if you haven't tried it on, go to Ben Bridge Jewelers in Park Meadows Mall. They carry them. Great watches. And then Boldr I've always been a shill for, so I'll let you guys start off. What do you think?
I'm trying to figure out what the logo is at 6:00 of the Norqain. It kind of looks like the shield and arrows on the Kenyan national flag.
It may very well be. Let me
It's
see.
cool. It's very cool.
Dean Schneider is a wildlife ambassador in South Africa, and that is who they partnered with to make this specific model. They've got,
Is he related to
blue
Dan
and
Schneider,
green
or is that a
blood.
different podcast?
It's probably a different podcast, but we can make wild assumptions on this podcast. So do your own
Yikes.
research.
Cousins.
Might have to disassociate.
Wild price point. A wild one is $5,600 versus I believe $340. They're $340 for the Boldr.
Don't care. Give me the Norqain.
Yeah,
think
as
it's
much as I
dope.
love Boldr, I do think Norqain's going to just walk away on this fight.
I think that their color combinations are super sick with this limited edition, South African edition. I think that like the texturing, both on the dial but also the band. I don't know how well this video will come out on YouTube, but zoom in on that mofo. It is super cool, and it looks an awful lot like the Kenyan national flag. So.
Yeah.
I would say for the Boldr, I don't think that the sub dial at 9 is really all that necessary. And I think that it causes, like, you can literally see, the 10 indice and the 8 indice have to be overlapped.
Yeah.
Now that might be a function of the size of the case, but it's just going to be hard to beat this combination coming from Norqain. So that's my vote. Let me know what you guys think.
I love the Boldr. The Wayfarer is one of my favorite watches in their lineup. I like the textured dial. I personally like the sub dial that it overlaps. Again, just gives it a bit of depth.
Yeah.
The benefit that the Boldr has is I would not be afraid to wear it. It's a
you gotta get out of that mindset. We gotta assume that you're gonna be comfortable wearing. If you're gonna buy the watch at that cost, you're comfortable wearing at that cost.
Yeah. If you can buy one, you can buy two. Hunter's motto.
Yeah.
The Norqain is just an all-around better watch. I love the brand. The design language is so cool. They're comfortable to wear, lightweight, and I've honestly never worn a Boldr. So I think Norqain's going to take this one. Will, what do you think?
Yeah, it is a clean sweep for Norqain, and not for lack of the Hakuna Matata is not my favorite of the watches from Norqain. It's a nice looking piece. I actually do like the way the tan and the brown work together, and I like the bronze. I think the color scheme is really nice.
I wanted to give you a brown watch that you had to like, Will.
This is a brown watch that I very much like. It's unfair that the all black with that very unique textured dial that you guys might have seen, I think is beautiful and notably it's in stock. Notably in stock.
Yes.
The one below it that I was looking at is out of stock. I think these watches, they're all, funny enough, the wild one is all priced around the 5.5 mark. I think this one just a bit over because it supports apparently Dan Schneider's cousin. So that's a shame. Yikes, we're making crazy accusations now. Thank God no one watches us. Do your own research. The Norqain watch is lovely. The Boldr is in such a different price point, and it's a very nice watch, like Christian said. I love the elevated subdial. I think that's a great piece.
I too.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the watch. In fact, of Boldr's pieces, contrary to the Norqain, this is my favorite piece from Boldr. I've seen them around for a little bit now, and I'm glad they're venturing out. I really like this piece. I hope it sells really well for them. I think this is a great option. But I think a Norqain wild one in particular, you can pick any of the color SKUs. Yeah, and I think that's a story to talk about. I mean, people want to look at your watch, the in-house movement, all of that. I think is an amazing part of the watch, and I would love to just get my hands on even seeing it. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, go see it. Park Meadows Mall. It's worth it.
I'll have to take a look.
Right. Well, I believe that is our entire first round for sports watches. Tune in next week. We're going to be doing our dress watch category. And then the following, we have our $10,000 and over, our real high-end independent brands. After that, we're going to start going a little quicker. Guys, do you have anything else you want to add?
That's all I got. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoy the film version of these. Let us know in the comments of the YouTube channel or on Insta. Tell us what you hate, what you love.
Don't tell me what you hate. Tell Hunter what you hate.
Yeah, he's the one that will take the critical advice.
Perfect. Cheers.
Thanks.
Cheers.